JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 24th of November 2021. So yep, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, as always, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website and specifically our JFD research page, which is also updated on a daily basis. So yep, check it out here on jfdbank.com and yep, click on the research tab right there on the top. So now then, jumping into the charts, the first one I want to pick up here is Nikkei 225. So yesterday it was closed, and today it opened up, but opened with a decline. Yep, we broke this upside line here, and we fell below that 29,402 zone. Now, of course, looking at this picture, it doesn't really paint a very positive one, and to be honest, as long as it stays below this 29,400 territory, I will continue aiming slightly to the downside, because again, at the moment I'm going to be very careful. It's a bit of a crazy one here right now. I mean, it's a bit of a mixture between the Asian indices and the US ones, so that's why let's be very careful for now. Yes, from the technical side right now, the Nikkei index looks a little bit more on the bearish side. However, I'm not going to drag this one way too much to the downside, because in a way it could drift lower. Maybe it could find support somewhere near that 29,000 mark, near that 100-day EMA shown as the green line, and maybe then it could rebound as well again. But let's say, like I said, let's see how it's going to play out. For now, I'm leaning slightly to the downside, towards this 29,000 territory, and then we'll take it from there. Hong Kong's Hang Seng index. Now this one's a bit of a mess here, and if you remember yesterday I talked about it and I said to keep an eye on this hurdle right here, the 24,695 territory, which as you can see somehow continues to do its job and provide support, and it's kind of actually not only that level, it's more of an area somewhere around this area as well. So this 24,595 territory. So basically this little 100-point range here, which is kind of providing that little hold up. Now we could see this one rebounding, but this is where I need to redraw my lines here a little bit. But in a way, we could see this one forming a descending triangle patterns, and of course, with the lower side being this whole little range here, the one that I mentioned. So yep. If you're looking for some downside, then well, at least wait for a drop below that area, below this hurdle. Because at the moment, yeah, like I said, it could be forming still that descending triangle pattern, and yep. I mean, which of course, according to all the TA rules, tends to break to the downside. But again, let's not rush into anything. Let's see if that's going to be the case or not. For now, I'm keeping an eye on this little hurdle right here. DAX, the German index. Yeah, so we have moved lower and we declined further. Looking at this picture here, I mean, you can see that yesterday the index even fell below that 16,000 mark, and basically that, of course, raised a few concerns here. However, looking at the cash index right now, you can see that we are slightly above that 16,000 mark right now. So this kind of leads me to this point, actually where we're going to open up today, because if we still open up today below that 16,000 mark, then maybe yes, further declines could still be possible. However, if we somehow open up here above this area and above that 21-day EMA, then maybe I'll take a bit of a neutral stand, just to be a little bit more on the careful side, because it's a little bit unclear here what we're going to do, and in a way we can draw this steep tentative downside resistance line, which in a way could provide resistance again, but again, I'm not going to rely on it too much. If it somehow starts climbing back above the 16,000, and actually this is where I need to adjust this level here. If it starts climbing somewhere above this little territory right here, the 16,200 zone, then yes, I will aim for maybe some higher levels again, and for that all-time high as well. Now, long story short, for now, this is not really, like I said, looking very straightforward, but again, let's see how this is going to play out. I mean, where this is going to open up today, and if it somehow manages to fall back again below that 16,000 territory, yes, I'm going to be leaning to the downside again. NASDAQ 100. So nice little recovery here. However, still the index closed slightly in the red. We did drop further. Yes, we moved towards that 16,169 territory. Spoke about that level previously, and we fell here. We tested that 21-day EMA, or should I say the area near that 21-day EMA, rebounded from it, and moved back up. So this, of course, similar story as with the DAX. I mean, we're going to be very careful here, because again, let's see if we can climb back above this 16,454 territory. If we can, then maybe yes, we could see a nice little pushback to the upside. However, again, like I said, I don't like these scenarios. I mean, these are not ideal situations here. So yeah, for now, I'm gonna just probably keep an eye on it, stay a step away from it, and just wait for maybe a violation of one of my levels, in order to get a little bit more comfortable with the next kind of directional move here. If we do fall below that 21-day EMA, yes, I'll aim for the downside slightly. DXY dollar index continues to remain strong. You can see that yesterday it pushed a little bit higher, not much, but still made its way above that 96 territory and stayed above it. So yeah, as I said before, for now it seems that it just wants to continue pushing higher. We do have some levels here on the way higher. I mean, like the 97.80, that's the ideal one. That's the highest point of June of 2020. But of course, yes. Let's see how this is going to play out, because again, we did have quite a steep up move. Maybe a bit of a setback here could be possible. However, I would like to consider maybe the larger correction opportunity. Maybe if we drop back below this 96.24 territory right here, marked by the high of the 17th of November, and then yes, like I said, then we could consider maybe a bit of a retracement. But at this point in time, I mean, it's not really going for that retracement. So yeah, let's wait and see for now. I mean, let's say if it somehow remains above that 96.38 zone right here, well, I mean, yep, it could continue pushing higher. Good morning to you too. Good morning to everybody else in the chat room here, guys. Yep, I hope everybody's having a wonderful start of Wednesday. Now, jumping into gold. So gold, of course, didn't really like the whole kind of stronger dollar concept, and yep, that's what we have seen here. I mean, we saw a nice drift lower, but look at this kind of how perfectly this upside line, this line taken from the low, the 30th of September, did its job. It did provide support. Now we're seeing a nice little rebound here. So yeah, I would say at this point, although as long as this upside line stays intact, there is of course a good chance for this one to move further north. I mean, further higher again. But to be honest, whenever we have like a steep drop like this, then we're going to be very careful here. First of all, we will if in order, let's say, to maybe go for some higher levels again, maybe a push above this 1814 level could do the trick. However, of course, there are going to be like a bunch of obstacles here, but yeah, as long as it stays in this little territory, I'm going to just observe it. I'm not going to do much because again, this is way too tricky. And if it eventually, let's say, falls below this the low of yesterday, which was roughly around that 1782 zone, and then at the same time it will break this upside line, and yep, lower levels could be met. We could see a further decline, and yep, the next target could be that 1758 zone. But again, for that, first we need to see a break of this upside line and a drop below yesterday's low. Now jumping into WTI Oil, so a bit of a roller coaster ride here. It seems like that we did reverse higher, and this is what I mentioned to you recently, basically, that you can see that the 100-day EMA somehow did its job and provided good support from where, yeah, we can see that the commodity rebounded and pushed higher and broke this downside line. Now, doesn't mean that actually that's it, you know, from here it's just going to be up and away. No, because we, in a way, that line was still a tentative one. So that's why for now I'm going to be very careful. Yes, it could push a little bit further north. However, I'm keeping an eye on the 79.33 zone in this 21-day EMA, which, if all this provides resistance, then another slide might be possible. So keep that in mind. I'll mark this lowest point, the current lowest point of this week, the 74.79 zone, and then yeah, of course, if like I said, if the holdup happens around here somewhere, another slide might be possible. Now, if of course this pushes and stays above that 21-day EMA, then well, this could increase the chances for a well, at this point I have to say maybe a larger recovery here to the upside in the short run, because we are trading below this downside line taken from the high of the 25th of October. So let's see how that's going to play out, of course. Litecoin, so still not doing much. Basically, we're still keeping an eye on this upside line taken from the low of the 29th of September. And yeah, if you're looking for some downside, well, just basically you need to wait for a break of this upside line, and at least, and then drop somewhere below that, maybe 200 zone, roughly around here. And then yes, of course, this potentially could open the door towards lower levels. For now, from the very short-term perspective, you might say that maybe this is forming somewhat of a triangle pattern. Could be. So if that's your game plan here, then definitely need to wait until we see a violation of one of the sides of the triangle, and the other side is somewhere around here. But as I said, for now, like I said, even if we break, let's say, the lower side of the triangle, still keep your eyes on this upside one, the upside line, sorry. And then yeah, then we'll take it from there. AUDNZD, so this is what I warned you yesterday about, and given the sharp reversal and sharp kind of acceleration, and the fact that yes, it pushed higher, I said that it increased the chances for a possible break of the upper side of the falling channel, and well, that's exactly what happened. So we broke that. We have moved now higher. And yeah, so at the moment I would say it could continue pushing higher. The only thing is, this is where I will try to warn you again, wait for that kind of candle, daily candle to end and see where the body of it will be, because it will, this explanation is going to be relevant to one of the other pairs that I'm going to jump into a little bit later here. But yeah, we'll always wait for that confirmation. I mean, so yeah, for now we are getting that break, so that's good news for the bulls. If we stay above that upper side of the falling channel, then yes, we'll continue aiming higher. However, if you're looking for something a little bit more careful, and you can watch this 1.0456 territory. If we get a nice pop above it and stay above it, then yes, we could go for some higher levels. But at the moment, given already during kind of the early hours of the European morning, I mean, here we already had that nice decent move here to the upside. Maybe we could see a bit of a setback at some point, and if it stays somewhere above this upper side of the falling channel, then yes, and like a bit of a curve back up might be possible. Not on this daily chart, but maybe on a 1 hour chart. So keep that in mind. USDJPY. This one is a little bit of a mess. However, it doesn't really. Well, I have to admit that on this pair, to be honest, my levels are not really working well, because it seems to be that what's working better are the upside lines. So probably then in that case I'm going to stick to them. I'm going to keep an eye on the levels and the barriers, resistance and support barriers, just as a helping tool. But looking at this picture, you can see that yes, we pushed higher today. We also made a move higher, created a new high for November. But now we're kind of retracing a little bit. So yeah, I mean, this of course will also depend on how today's situation with the DXY will go through. Maybe we'll go a little bit for correction. If it does, then yes, we could see USDJPY moving a little bit lower as well. And also if the indices decide to retrace, or not they don't decide, but if the indices do retrace, then yes, to the downside, I mean, and then yes, we could see this pair also moving lower as the end buying would be increased. And well, of course, like I said, if the DXY also decides, well, also falls a little bit, then we could see a bit of a nice little correction here to the downside. Yeah, a quick update on this pair, US dollar against the Russian ruble, and I've mentioned this yesterday, if you remember, and what I said that I will be very careful near this 74.92 zone and this 75.35 level. Well, basically that kind of worked out nicely. So we did push higher, but as you can see, we have then corrected from there, and now let's see what's going to happen further. Now, one thing for sure that I need to do here is I need to draw this upside line. So now I'm going to draw this one because the other one is way too steep. So maybe I'm going to leave a little bit of room here for maneuverability. So in other words, even if we decline, then as long as the rate stays somewhere above this upside line, or maybe above all of the EMAs, then yep, the upside potential for this one is great. So yeah, let's see how this is going to play out. GBPJPY, now this one's interesting because it's still below this downside line. Now some of you probably have drawn maybe something like this. However, again, it's also a tentative line, so that's why I'm kind of keeping an eye on this last resort here. But if this downside line gets broken, then yes, we could go for the upside. However, at the moment, what I mentioned before, if you can see by my arrow drawn here a while ago, you can see that we've shifted a little bit already. So if this downside line somehow continues to provide resistance, then yes, another slide could be possible. And well, the next target could be this lowest point of November near the 152.40 zone. GBPJPY, so far so good. Everything's according to the plan here, because what I said that in a way it could move higher still, it could end up testing this downside line, but if this downside line provides resistance, another decline could be possible. Well, and that's what we're getting. Well, actually, sorry, we're not getting the decline yet, but we're getting a hold up near this downside line. So, long story short, I will keep an eye on this one for now. It's going to be quite interesting, like I said, to see if this downside line continues to provide resistance. We might see a decline, but of course keep your eyes on this upside line, taken from the low, the 8th of November, and then we will take it from there. Because again, we would need to see then if a violation of one of the lines here before considering the next kind of short-term directional move. EURCAD. So this was the pair that I was talking about in terms of, let's say, always wait for that daily candle because to see what's gonna happen with it, because well, probably a lot of traders got frustrated here because we had a nice push higher. As you can see, we came very close to this 1.4358 zone, which just kind of once again proved that this is quite an important level to watch. And when this is what happened, we saw that correction back down, and well, we fell back below this downside line. So long story short, we're back below the downside line, and that means that the downside scenario is still not off the table. So in order for me to go for lower levels, yes, of course, as long as this downside line continues to hold, then yes, further declines are possible. However, if you're looking for a little bit of something more, let's say, cautious and careful, then, well, you could wait for a drop below this current lowest point of November near the 1.4177 zone, and then yes, we could. This would confirm a forthcoming lower low and potentially could attract more sellers into it. Oh, and by the way, for the upside, well, to be honest, pretty straightforward. Again, a push above this downside line. We'd like to see the downside, kind of the body of the daily candle staying above that area. And if we do stay above that area, then yes, we could go for further upside. And also, if we push above this 1.4358 zone, this may kind of increase the pair's chances of moving a little bit higher. Now, EURUSD. So not much is happening here, to be honest. The only thing is that this level, the 1.1230 territory, 1.1230 is providing support, and if you're looking for some downside, this is a very nice little level to keep an eye on, because a nice good drop below it would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could go for further declines. My next target then on the downside is the 1.1169 zone, marked by the low, the 22nd of June 2020. This has been quite an important level to watch. I mean, it still is quite an important level to watch. But yeah, like I said, if we do drop below the this 1.1230 territory, then yes, I'll aim for that level. For the upside, it's a pretty straightforward game here and game plan. Actually, let me just draw this tentative downside line here, which could help us out here a little bit. And this downside line, if you're looking for some higher levels, then at least wait for a break of this downside line, and then we could go from there, guys. We could go for that larger correction to the upside towards this 21-day EMA, at least. So guys, that's it for this session. I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for your views, guys, your likes, your comments. Thank you very much for all that, and thank you very much for participating and kind of staying with me here till the end of this video. Really appreciate that. So if you want to catch me tomorrow morning, as always, at my Traders Espresso, that's 7 o'clock GMT time. For now, have a wonderful trading day. Stay safe, have your stop losses in place, and everything will be fine. Bye-bye.